3 names, 1 title, and I think the writers just told us who's dying. Because in 5 seasons of The Boys, they have never put 3 main characters in a title this late in the game. Not once. And I've been sitting on this theory for 2 weeks, and I need to get it out before episode 7 drops and either proves me completely right, or makes me look like an idiot. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to watch episode 7 completely differently. Here's what we're breaking down today. I've got 6 things episode 7 has to deliver. I'll rank them by how brutal they're going to hit. And I'm saving the wildest one for last, because it connects everything in a way nobody's really talking about. Let's go. The title is a death sentence. Let's start with the obvious thing that nobody's treating seriously enough. The title of episode 7 is The Frenchman, the female, and the man called Mother's Milk. Say that out loud. That's not a fun character showcase title, that's a eulogy title. Think about how TV writers use character spotlight episode titles. Breaking Bad did it, The Wire did it, Game of Thrones did it. And in every case when a show in its final season puts multiple beloved characters in the title of a penultimate episode, at least one of them doesn't make it out. So the question isn't if someone dies in episode 7. The question is who and in what order. And I think the title itself is actually telling us, in order. Frenchie goes first. Here's why. The Frenchie setup they've been building all season. Frenchie's entire arc this season has been about guilt, about the people he killed, about whether someone like him deserves to be loved. His relationship with Kimiko falling apart wasn't just drama to fill episodes, it was the writers pulling them apart emotionally. Sulfur monoxide that the reconciliation hits harder right before the end. They want you feeling the love right as they rip it away. A Frenchie sacrifice dying to protect Kimiko, dying to finally atone for his past, that's not just a death. That's a complete character arc. Beginning, middle, end. The writers would be insane not to take that shot. But here's what keeps me up at night. What if Kimiko dies because of his sacrifice? What if Frenchie throws himself into a fight to save her and she goes after whoever kills him in a blind rage, and she loses that fight? The one person we all assumed was untouchable. The one character viewers genuinely believe can't be killed. That would be the most devastating thing this show has ever done. And The Boys has done some devastating things. But before we get to how The Boys even survive episode 7, we need to talk about what they're actually up against. Because after episode 6, the threat level just changed completely. Homelander just became unkillable. Soldier Boy gave Homelander V1. Let that sink in. The most dangerous superhuman alive just got an upgrade from his actual biological father. And it's not just a power boost, it's psychological. Homelander has spent his entire life starving for one thing, validation. Still Will manipulated him with it. Queen Maeve defied him. Ryan barely tolerates him. But Soldier Boy, his father, looked at him and said, "You're worthy of this." That's not just fuel. That's the removal of his only remaining doubt. The Homelander we've seen before was terrifying because he was unstable. He could snap, but he could also spiral. The Homelander after V1, validated by his father, that's a god who's certain. And a certain Homelander is so much scarier than a broken one. So how do you stop him? The Boys have tried everything. And I've seen the theories. Let me tell you which ones are wrong and which one I actually believe. Every plan to stop Homelander ranked. Theory 1, Mother's Milk somehow gets Soldier Boy's power. Look at poetic, yes. Satisfying, sure, but this is a convenient last-minute power upgrade, and this show is smarter than that. I'm calling it a red herring. Theory 2, they use Soldier Boy as the weapon. We know his energy blast can literally fry Compound V out of a soup system. What if the play is to bait Soldier Boy into firing and position Homelander in the blast radius at the last second? Risky, insane, and exactly the kind of desperate plan the Boys would cook up. This one I believe. Theory 3, and this is the dark one, takes V himself. He becomes the thing he's hated his whole life, to protect the people he loves. The theme of becoming the monster is all over this show. If injects V in episode 7, I will lose my mind. And I think it's genuinely possible. But all 3 of these theories have the same problem. They're missing a variable. And that variable just showed up in the Season 5 trailer. The Moreau wildcard. Moreau from Gen V. Blood manipulation. She can stop a heart from across the room. And more importantly, theoretically, she could manipulate the compound V in someone's bloodstream. Against a normal suit, she's devastating. Against a V1 enhanced Homelander, she's probably going to die. And I think that's actually the point. She's not the solution, she's the cost. She shows up, buys the boys 30 seconds, and it kills her. A crossover character solving the final conflict would be lazy. A crossover character dying to make the conflict feel impossible. That's how you use her correctly. Episode 7 is the right time for her cameo because the finale needs to feel like the boys won against impossible odds, not because they got saved by a guest character. Which brings me to the last thing, and honestly, the one I think most people aren't paying enough attention to. The Deep's fatal mistake. The Deep killed Noir. But here's what nobody's talking about, this wasn't even the real Black Noir. The original Noir was killed by Homelander himself in Season 3. Sovot hired a replacement. Justin Black Noir 2 was literally just an actor they put in the suit. And the way he died, the Deep strangled him and stabbed him in the head. Overfish, he killed a member of the Seven. Overfish. Now, why does Homelander even care? He never had a bond with Justin. But that's not the point. Homelander doesn't care about the person. He cares about the symbol. The masked figure standing next to him. The image of loyalty. The Deep just shattered that image without permission. The Deep has survived everything on this show through one thing, of being a useful idiot. The moment a useful idiot becomes unpredictable, he stops being useful. Episode 7 is where the Deep finally runs out of lives. So here's where we land heading into Episode 7. Frenchie is the most likely death. Kimiko dying second would be the most brutal the show has ever been. Mother's Milk taking V is the darkest version of his arc. Moreau is showing up to die, not to save the day. And the Deep's number is finally up. One of these is going to happen. Maybe more than one. And the title of the Frenchman, the female, and the man called Mother's Milk, I genuinely believe is the show's way of saying goodbye to at least one of them before it's over. Drop your prediction in the comments right now. Who makes it out of Episode 7 alive? I'll see you there.